Hey, 𝗟𝗶𝗱𝗃𝗀𝗃 here. Welcome back to day 3 of this journey in 2025 for me to demonstrate how you can create a government contracting small business and get to $1 million in revenue. I've been teaching since 2018 how to have success in the federal market. I say that government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. When you follow a process A to Z, you have repeatable, predictable results. This is what I want for you, and this is why I've been teaching it since 2018, and that was after I spent 20 years as a small business owner in 2 different government contracting businesses that I did myself, right? And so now I'm saying in 2025, I want to go back and show you how to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and go through that. Every single day I'm going to come back and do a video. I'm hoping to do 365 videos unless I get sick or something, right? And as I go forward, they're live. So today is January 3rd. It's the 3rd day of our event. I'm taking a break from my day job to come over here and work for an hour on starting 𝗟𝗶𝗃𝗀𝗃. And so 𝗟𝗟𝗃𝗀𝗃 is what I call the company. My wife's name is Nancy. I like the idea of coming back and talking with you and reminding myself about Nancy. I'm like, well, if I'm here talking to you, I'm not with her, but if I can throw the company name in there with her name, it reminds me. So today I want to cover down on 2 main things. I want to talk about what did I do yesterday. Primarily it was about keywords, really refining what do I sell. And then I want to, the second half of today's session or episode, whatever you call this, I want to talk about the next task I have. And I'll start today on it with you, and then I'll finish offline. But that task is determining who buys what I sell. So the first thing is, what do I sell? The second step in starting a business is who buys what I sell, right? Long before I ever form an LLC or any of that kind of stuff, I want to have a solid understanding of what do I want to sell. So just giving a quick recap, again, this is day 3. Day 1, I started off with naming the company and saying, what do I do? So communication and outreach is what I decided. You can watch the previous videos. And then my exercise was to begin to break that out and say, well, if communications and outreach is what I do, what are top 3 keywords I have that I can reference when I'm talking about communication and outreach? So for example, I said communication and outreach has 3 main keywords: LinkedIn engagement, social media, and content creation. I felt pretty good about that. So I'd started this video 2 days ago. Yesterday I was working on the keywords. And what I did was I took those 3 main keywords that I worked on with you, and I did some exercises. But then I went to my tool called the Keyword Generator. And you can find a link in yesterday's training, and I'll get better at like putting all these links in one place. But we built a keyword generator over on GovCon.com, and it's free to use. Again, you can find the link. But in there, I took this exercise and I said, let me go finish up getting a bunch of keywords, because it's important for me to understand what are the top keywords around what I sell, so that first off, I just have a lot of good keywords I can wrap into messaging when I start doing that. But second, it helps me refine what do I sell when I take communication outreach and break it into 3 main keywords. And then those main keywords, I try to find 10 subordinate keywords under there. So, think about it, a top keyword, 3 keywords, and 10 under it gives me, a good pool of 30 keywords to use in any of my marketing material, or, if I'm trying to think about SEO in the future, search engine optimization. But primarily what I'm thinking about is, if that buyer, that federal buyer, is going to try to find me, how might they look for me? And so if somebody's looking for a company like mine, they might type in social media, and to see if there's any, I'm a veteran, right? Let's just say veteran companies that do social media. And there'll be a bunch of us that pop up, but I want to make sure that I do pop up. That's the first rule is in government contracting, or really in any business, you want to be findable. If you got a restaurant and it's in a back alley and no one can find you, then what's the point of having the restaurant? And so it's totally cool to put the restaurant in the alley. It's a good location, whatever it is. Just make sure it's findable. Make sure people can discover it. And it's the same thing for us in government contracting. When federal buyers go, look, I want them to be able to find me. So I went through this exercise, and I wanted to spend a few minutes sharing with you what I did after I recorded yesterday's video. So I think I talked 15, 20 minutes yesterday, and I only work an hour a day on 𝗟𝗟𝗃𝗀𝗃. I'm going to build this company in 365 hours in 1 year, right? So 1 hour a day, because I got all sorts of other things I'm doing, right? That's the primary reason on why I'm only doing an hour, but it also forces me to be really disciplined in what I teach you. What I teach you and what I'm doing is just the process. I've been teaching the same process since 2018. The process is perfected with me talking to thousands of small businesses, right? And so yesterday, I did this exercise. I had the main keyword, the 3, and then I went to my tool. So GovCon.com, you can find our tool out there, and it's a free tool. And when I went to that tool, I entered in communication and outreach in the first page. It says, put in the main 3 to 5 words that describe what your company does. I hit next, and it says, put in the top 3 keywords, boom, 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 that, that relate to what you sell. And so I put in LinkedIn engagement, because that's the world I want to be in, social media, and content creation. Those are the 3 things I really want to sell, and you can learn about why in earlier videos. When I hit next, then our tool generated 30 keywords. Just right out of the gate, it generated 10 keywords per that main keyword I had. And the purpose of our tool is to be able to select it and to begin to build it. The fun thing for me, using my own tool, eating my own dog food, is the first set of keywords that came up, I didn't like any of them. Like, I saw them, I'm like, well, that's not really what I'm thinking. But the cool thing is, Alex, who really drove the beginning part of this tool, my co-founder, he put a generate more keywords button on there. And so there's 3 columns focused on those 3 main keywords that I have, right? And so I just hit generate more keywords, generate more keywords. And the second 30 set of keywords that came up, I started finding ones I like. And I would click on it, it would drop it down to the saved list. And when it does that, now I'm teaching the tool, hey, I don't really like these keywords that I did not select, but I like these other ones. They're kind of what I sell. And this is where I started getting excited, because I hit regenerate again, and now I'm on the second, 30? Now I'm up to the 70, 80, 90 keywords in, right? It's literally minutes of me doing this, reviewing it, going, nope, show me the next one. So I'm in this 3rd refresh, and I start seeing keywords that are making me think, wow, maybe I should rethink these 3, because these other ones seem pretty cool. Like some of the words that came up that I'll just throw you: around communication and outreach, branding awareness or brand awareness, community engagement workshops. I was like, oh, that's what I'm trying to do. Community outreach strategies, podcast productions. I like that. It reminded me that when I'm focused on LinkedIn and whatever I do, it's like, well, all of that's reusable content. So anyways, like, you could be doing plumbing or anything else, and this model still works. You look at the keywords, you go, that's more like what I want to sell. So I just kept going through this exercise, and I had an hour, right? Or I had about 40 minutes to do this exercise. And so I gave myself 20 minutes of I kept refreshing the keywords. And at some points, like, I saw some duplicates, and this is just the problem with any AI. At some point it runs out of words. It's like, what else do you need from me, Neil? And but I found 50 keywords that I really liked that were related to what we're doing. My goal was to get 30 keywords, and all I had to do was hit next, generate more keywords, generate more keywords. And I would look, and I know what I want to sell, this communication and outreach type service. And I saw the words, I go, oh, I like that. This one here, I didn't really like that. There's one like, the one that I put in there that was an unusual one is public speaking coaching. I've been public speaking for years, decades, right? But one of the things I realized is, if I want to help them create content to reach industry, like that's my plan to sell that kind of service, it's like, well, if I can coach you on how to be a better speaker, then you'll feel more confident giving content as the Army or FEMA or something that I can then share out, right? So I can slide earlier in the process and give you confidence as a federal agency speaker. Anyway, so I saw these keywords. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good one. And that's the exercise I really want to recommend you do, is go into our free keyword tool and just use it. It's like going to Google, except for better, right? And build that list. So if you're following along with me, build that list. So that's where I'm at so far. Day 1 and day 2 were about building defining what do I sell. One thing I will say is that as I go forward, and I've just been doing this a long time, so I know what I'll probably do later. But as I start defining or identifying agencies I want to target, I will then go in and start looking at some of their strategic documentation, like they might have PowerPoint briefings, they might have strategic plans, annual reports, whatever it is. I might go into public affairs office and see if they got some sort of documents. I might look at requirement documents of contracts I wish I had won. I can look at the requirement documents and go, oh, I see through this requirement document or those other documents I talked about, I can see how they talk about what I want to sell. And I'll refine my keyword list to make sure I'm really including their language and I'm speaking in their language. So it's later on and somewhere in this year, I'll come back, and whenever I do it, I'll go, hey, I just want to tell you what I did yesterday, or what I'm going to do today is go find those kind of keywords. But it's really important to speak in their language. And so that'll be an evolution. If I was you and I'm growing a long-term business, this is a 2-3 year exercise. Don't ever feel bad about coming back and going, are we using the right keywords to define what we sell in a way that the government will get? One last thing about keywords, and then I'll move on, is make sure they're at a 3rd grade level. 5th grade at the absolute farthest. You really want to make it easy for anybody who's going to look at the keywords to go, oh, I get what it is. You really got to be careful if you get into quantum physics and then you start getting into other words. It's cool, you're smart, and the person who's eventually going to buy and use what you do is smart, but all of us in between who might be able to help you, we're not as smart. And so you need to make sure you're using keywords that can help us drive in that direction, right? Okay, so that was yesterday. That was the activity, is what do you sell? The first thing I wanted to do with 𝗟𝗂 is say, what do I sell? And I've got a good solid plan. A few days from now, maybe a week, I don't know when, I just discover it every day. I'll really start refining this into messaging, the marketing assets that I'll have. But the next task that I want to do, and so this is what I'll do today, let me erase this really quick, is I want to talk to you about, or not talk to you, really talk to me, but I want to identify who buys what I sell. And so I know what I want to sell, but who buys it? On day one, I took a stab at just saying what type of people buy what I sell. And I said contracting officers, small business professionals. These are the type of people who are trying to reach small business government contractors. And that's the type of business I want to be in, is I want to be between industry and federal agencies and say, hey, I can make you guys meet each other. And so I wanted to identify, well, who are the people who need what I sell? But when I say who buys what I sell, there's 3 levels that I'm really talking about. And really, I'm putting this down for me. I'm not sure if you can read it, but you can hear me as I'm talking. But the first one is the agency, right? So which federal agency is spending money on what I want to sell? It's the same way with you. If you sell nuts and bolts, right? Who's buying that? There's a really good chance EPA or the Department of Education is not buying many nuts and bolts. But you could go to the Department of, or Defense Logistics Agency, DLA, who does all this inventory purchasing, et cetera. They are definitely buying nuts and bolts. So for me, I want to identify, well, which agencies are tending to buy what I sell? What I sell is pretty generic, so it should be every agency. But the reality is I need to find who's actually buying it in a way I can get a piece of it. Sometimes they buy what I sell in a bigger contract that will, it's another story and I'll talk about it. But right now I want to know which agencies are spending on communication and outreach. The next thing I want to focus on, if you don't know about this, is program office. So I want to look at the agency. Which agency buys what I sell? Let's say the Navy buys what I sell. Okay, well, which program office is buying what I sell? An example of a program office could be Program Executive Office Digital. It's a particular thing called PEO Digital. And there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of program offices, right? And what I want to find out is who's buying that. And I'll come back and talk more about this. I don't want to get too crazy on this level of video. But when I think about the people who are buying what I sell from a program office standpoint, I'm looking kind of who's funding it and who's awarding that contract type thing. And I want to balance that when I say awarding this. I don't know where I'm writing, but the last one is the contracting shop, right? And so the last one here that I wrote is the contracting shop. In the federal government, I know that I want to identify the agencies that are spending money. I want to know which contracting shop. And so these are the people who are signing the contract. Somebody else might fund the contract, not to get overly complicated in this, but somebody else might put their money in. But this person is signing it. So an example is my sons have, piggy bank, and they give me $10 and ask me to buy video game money. Like they have video games and they want V-Bucks or whatever. I don't know what they are. But I'm the buying authority. I'm the one committing that money. Really, I'm using my credit card, right? They're just giving me the funds. And I'm not trying to walk you down educating you on how they buy too much. But understand the reason that's important is because now I know that if I can find out who's the person like me who's signing it and who's the person like my son who is wanting it and is funding it, has the money, well then when I go to sell, I want to talk to both of those people. And I want to talk to both of those people within the agency that is buying. And so that's why I want agency, program office, and contracting folks. The way I'm going to do this is in a tool called FPDS, the Federal Procurement Data System. There's another tool called USASpending.gov, and I'll put those in the link today as well in the YouTube video. But on FPDS, that basically is a repository where the government puts everything that they bought. They list it in there. They, hey, I sold this company A. I bought this from company A, company B, company C. Millions and millions of entries. And so I'll be able to go through those entries to look for agencies, program offices, and contracting shops that have bought what I sold. The way I will do this, because I'm actually not showing you, this is not training, I'm telling you I'm following my process, so I could guide you back. At some point I might try to point you to training, but really you can just go watch my other YouTube videos to find specifically FPDS. How do you use it? How do you go through? But I'll tell you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to FPDS.gov, and inside of FPDS.gov, it's basically like Google to start, a little window, and you can hit enter and go in, and it's got a bunch of fields, and those fields you can basically filter on and search on. So the first thing I'm going to do is to go in, and I'm going to look inside of FPDS. It's got a description field, and if you go in there and explore it, you'll see it. It's got a description field of what they bought. So if you click on an item that they bought, you'll see this form. Somewhere down towards the bottom, you'll see this pretty square box, rectangle box that has the description of what they bought. I'm going to search that field across millions of records to see who has bought social media, who has bought LinkedIn engagement. I'm going to take those keywords I have, and I'm going to spend an hour just going in and trying to find which ones get traction. All right? I might put I might put brand awareness. I'm looking at my slide behind you, but I might put brand awareness, right? And I'm getting 0 results. I'm like, all right, check that off. And then I'll go to community engagement, and I might get 10 results. I might hit let me find one, that digital content strategy, right? I might get 10,000 records of the government buying that. I'll save each one of those and note down what I'm doing. That'll be my exercise today because it'll probably use up the 40 minutes I have left. But inside of FPDS, I'm just going to go through those keywords. I'm just trying to find them, and then I'll export it. And I think tomorrow's video, instead of doing it like this, I'll do it on my computer, and I'll record me going into FPDS. I'll show you me looking at the spreadsheets. But my plan today is not to analyze it too much. Today is about data collection, right? I really believe when I'm building a company or when I'm doing anything, break it down to the smallest parts. So I do this task, then I do the next task. So today's task is just for me to, get data I can download that I think looks good, and then probably not going to have time today. So tomorrow I will then analyze that by looking at all those description fields and going, oh, that looks right. Let me save that one, and let me start recording which agency bought which program office and which contracting office. And tomorrow in the video I'll show you that as well. Okay, I think I covered down on everything I want. Just as a reminder, if you're still doing your keywords, go to GovConinAbox.com. Right there down towards the bottom, you'll see keywords and a link, and you can use that free tool. It's a great tool. I built it basically for me to be able to use with our customers. And then we're like, wow, let's just give it away for free. So definitely use it. Tell me if you use it. Tell me if you like it. And then the other thing I was going to say is, don't forget, I'm going to look for this type of information of who buys what I sell. It is FPDS.gov, so it's Federal Procurement Data System.gov. It is the bomb. Nowhere else can you go and find the customer and everything they bought and who they sold it to. Pretty much everything except for the itemized cost, right? I can see what they paid for the bag of groceries. I just can't see what they paid for each individual item. Last thing I wanted to say to you, just since I got you as a captured audience, right? Somewhat captured. If anybody is in the Maryland area, that's where I'm at, Southern Maryland, and because I moved out of DC. If anybody has video capability, I have a lot of strength skills, and this YouTube video portrait thing is not mine. Look at all this wasted real estate. I feel like I'm doing something wrong, where no matter what I do with my camera, I got all that wasted real estate up there. I want to go a little wider on the whiteboard because I live and breathe on the whiteboard, and I got all sorts of stuff to teach as we go forward into 2025. But if you have that skill, reach out to me, let me know, and I will, maybe we can barter, right? I can help you get into federal agencies because I'm really good at that. Okay, so that's what I have for today in this episode. Tomorrow we come back, we'll talk more about really understanding who buys what you sell. If you value this content, do me a favor, throw a comment, something specific into the comments was really helpful to me. It's like, I like this, I like that. And I will engage with it because I want you to take this journey with me, and I want to make sure I'm saying hi and thank you. All right, I'm out of here. We're at 20 minutes. I will see you in tomorrow's episode. 7 days a week, by the way, so I will be back tomorrow. I'll see you.